Report. My name is Heather, and I'm excited to bring you this new series on the tragic loss of the life of Sandra Birchmore. And we're going to talk in depth about her and the officers that are alleged in the loss of her life. You may have heard of her through the Karen Reed case, potentially. There's a lot of similar people involved. In particular, Kevin Albert of Canton Police was one of the investigators in this case, who is the brother of Brian Albert, the homeowner of 34 Fairview Road, where Officer John O'Keefe's body was found unconscious on the lawn. So, there's Kevin Albert, there's Lieutenant Fanning, who was on the group text between, I think it was Sergeant Buchanan and Proctor and all of them when they were talking about Karen. Um, yeah, there's a lot of the same players involved. Sandra Birchmore lived in Canton at the time when she lost her life, so hence the Canton PD investigating it. So I've done a video already as to who some of the similar players are and who's involved with, a brief overview of the story. Um, and I'll link it down below. But this series, I have several episodes that we're going to talk in depth about the Sandra Birchmore case. We're going to read through the case files. We're going to discuss. So let's get started. In a nutshell, this is like a brief nutshell of what this case is about. So Sandra Birchmore, originally from Stoughton, moved to Canton in 2020, and she was discovered deceased in her Windsor Woods apartment on April 4th, 2021. So that is almost a year before John O'Keefe. So John O'Keefe was found January 29th, 2022. So a year later, almost a full year later. All right. So her employer called and requested a well-being check because she was absent from work for several days. The last person known to have seen Sandra alive was Matthew Farwell, who was captured on camera leaving Sandra's apartment, which we will watch in a little bit too. At the time of her homicide, we're going to call it a homicide going forward from now on. Sandra was, and you'll see why in a little bit. So at the time of Sandra's homicide, she was pregnant, and it is suspected that one of the officers was the father, and that person was Matthew Farwell, because of her homicide was actually ruled by the medical examiner as a self-deletion. So, yeah, that's so sad. 19 months after an internal affairs report, after the loss of her life, an internal affairs report from the Stoughton Police Department revealed disturbing allegations against three officers. The report uncovered that Sandra Birchmore had been victimized by three of the officers involved in the Explorer Post program, namely Matthew Farwell, William Falwell, and Robert Devine. There's a fourth individual, Joshua Heel, who we will talk about as well. We'll get into him in the next episode. We're going to do more of a deep dive on the officers involved. So the maltreatment began when Sandra was a minor and continued over the years as part of the program and beyond. All right, so like I said, that's kind of a nutshell of the story. Um, as you can see, it has some similar elements regarding, police cover-up, potentially police misconduct. So, excuse me. All right, so who was Sandra? Let's talk about who Sandra was. She was born May 13th, 1997, to a Denise F. McCain Birchmore and a W. Birchmore. Denise was sick throughout Sandra's childhood. Sandra had no relationship with her father, and her stepfather passed away when Sandra was young. She was raised by a single mother, Denise, and her grandmother, Claire Coughlin Godet. day. I don't know. God dad. Both of whom lost their lives in 2016. First, Sandra lost her mother, and a month later, her grandmother. I can't even imagine that. And that was her closest family, obviously. So, Robert Devine, moving on to the post program, Robert Devine, 51, then a deputy chief in Stoughton, led the department's youth program since early 2000. So, he started this post youth program where it basically like gets children educated to understand what law enforcement's about and being an officer and help prepare them for potentially in the future becoming an officer. So in 2010, and it is believed that Sandra Birchmore had a huge respect for officers. She wanted to be one in the worst way, and she loved law enforcement, and she had uh, a lot of respect for people in the law. So that makes this even sadder. All right, so in 2010, Robert Devine brought in former explorers Matthew Farwell and his twin brother William as guest instructors. The same year that Sandra tried to join the program. So both Matthew Farwell and his twin brother William and Sandra Birchmore also came into the program at about in 2010. She was only 13 at the time and she was on the standby list for the program. She became a member then in 2011. Matt and Billy Farwell are twin brothers and are former Stoughton High School students who went through the same program that Sandra did with Robert Devine 12 years earlier. Both would go on to become Stoughton police officers. Matt Farwell was promoted to detective in 2017. Matt Farwell reportedly began an inappropriate physical relationship with Sandra Birchmore when she was 15, and it is considered statutory R. You know what? I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. And it's considered statutory R um, under Massachusetts law because she's considered a minor. I think it's 16 there, you're considered an adult, which I still think is too young, but whatever. All right, so Sandra thrived in the program, and in 2014, her mother expressed her gratitude to the local Explorer post for their efforts. Sandra remained in the program until 2015, the year she graduated from Stoughton High School. In the spring of 2015, Sandra graduated from high school. Though Birchmore participated in the Explorer, though her participation in the Explorers program ended, the officer's involvement in her life did not. In 2016, she experienced the loss of both her mother and her grandmother in May and June, being almost a little over a month apart, within a short span of time. It was also revealed through police and court records that Sandra struggled with mental health challenges for much of her life. In 2019, Sandra took the Massachusetts Civil Service exam and placed on the eligibility list for the Stoughton Police Force, which makes me happy for her that, she got to try to live out that dream of hers, even though it was ended way too quickly. On October 12th, 2019, Sandra lost her favorite aunt, Alice. So now she's lost her father's not in the picture. Her stepdad's gone. He lost his life. Her mom, then her grandma, and now her aunt. That's five close. Well, I don't know about if she was close with her dad or her stepdad, but at least those are, parental figures in her life that she lost at a very early age. Same year, Sandra Birchmore met Joshua W. Heel at the local animal shelter when Sandra came to adopt a cat. They became a they became friends and she started to confide in him about intimate details of her life, including her relationship with the Farwell brothers and Divine. According to Joshua, they engaged in a consensual relationship, physical relationship, once after working hours at the animal shelter. This was poorly written. Sandra Birchmore was raised in Stoughton before she moved to Canton. On May 19th, 2020, the police were called to Sandra Birchmore's home for a well-being check. The dispatcher, why did it say February 4th up here? What's the right date? I'm so confused now. Okay, maybe it's where are we at? All right, so this is earlier. On May 19th, 2020, the police were called to Sandra Birchmore's for a well-being check. A dispatcher informed the officers that Birchmore was expressing a desire to harm herself, according to police radio call recordings. According to the reports, the Farwell brothers and Divine were not involved in that police response. But could they have set it off? Like, could they have set her off um, into some kind of a mental breakdown or something? Could they have emotionally harmed her to where she started to respond? In September 2020, Sandra applied for housing and secured her own place. In October 2020, she started working at East Elementary School in Sharon. On November 14th, 2020, she moved out of her aunt's place and into an apartment with the assistance of Matthew Farwell. Married, by the way. He's married with kids at home already. Uh, just letting you know. All right, so sometime in December of 2020, Sandra found out that she was pregnant. On January 22nd, 2021, she had an ultrasound. Then, on January 30th, she went to a hair salon to get ready for a New Year's Eve celebration, which comes into play because she talks to her hairdresser about the pregnancy, about her relationship with Matthew Farwell, and all that. So that's why that's relevant on the timeline here. Also, on December 23rd, 2020, Farwell was at Sandra's apartment. Sandra mentioned to a friend that she had talked to Farwell about her pregnancy a few days before Christmas. They had an argument and she asked him to leave the apartment, but before he left, Sandra said Farwell told her, "I wish you would KILL yourself." That's rude. I mean, that's awful. So she mentioned to a friend that she told a friend that. On February 1st, 2021, Sandra spoke with a coworker on the phone. At 9 p.m. that evening, she sent a message via Snapchat to inquire about a work schedule. At around 9:27 p.m., Matthew Farwell was seen entering Sandra's apartment building. Sandra's coworker replied to the Snapchat message at 9:28 p.m., but Sandra did not open the message. Matthew Farwell was seen exiting Sandra's lobby at 9:56 p.m. So let's just break that down a bit. February 1st, we've got the snowstorm coming. You know this. And Sandra is asking a coworker what the work schedule is to double check probably for the next day that she's got the right time and she'll be there on time. You don't do that if you're about to self-delete. You don't care what your work schedule is the next day if you're going to take yourself out of this world and no longer have a job to go to. So that's something that really stinks in this case. All right, so on February 4th, 2021, school officials contacted the school resource officer to check on Sandra Birchmore, who had missed a few days of work. Officers Pollard, Brady, and Yeaton responded to 3307 Windsor Woods Way, say that 10 times fast, Windsor Woods Way, to make to make contact with Sandra. When they arrived, no one answered the door. Sandra's vehicle was in the apartment complex parking lot, covered in snow, and had not been moved since the snowfall on Monday the 1st. So it is Sunday, um, or February 1st. Sorry, it is February 1st that the snowstorm is coming, and we see her shoveling or coming in with a snow scraper after she presumably just scraped off her car. So she, that's also something you don't do if you're about to take yourself out of this world. You don't care about the snow piling up on your car. Um, all right. What did I say? So she left. Yeah, Sandra's coworker replied, those people. Okay. So the officer spoke with the property manager who provided a key to access the apartment. At 11:46 a.m., officers found Sandra in the bedroom, deceased with a black strap around her neck, tied to the bedroom door closet. Sandra was 10 weeks pregnant, and the cause of death was determined to be self-deletion by the medical examiner. But the medical examiner may have had some influence by the officers involved, potentially, maybe. I don't know. All right, so video from the apartment complex showed a man entering the lobby of Sandra's building. Detectives learned from maintenance worker Michael that the person in the video looked like the man who helped Sandra move into her apartment. Busted, buddy. Your little face mask didn't fool anybody. It was later revealed that Sandra had been victimized by three police officers who were part of the Explorer program, and the man in the video is Detective, well, former Detective Matthew Farwell. Before her loss of life, Sandra had shared with a coworker that she was dating a police officer who was 10 or 11 years older than her and already had two children from a previous relationship. She also mentioned that she wanted to get pregnant with her boyfriend, and it is believed that one of the officers, Matthew Farwell, was the father. Sandra was 23 years old. She was only 5'1" and 10 weeks pregnant. And if you look at the thumbnail, I mean, she's a very young looking girl. She looks way younger than than her actual age. And there's some pictures we have of her that they're just like, I don't have all the pictures here. There's some pictures where you can just tell she looks so little. Let me find it. Hold on. Okay, I found it. And here it is. And I think it's important because she's 17 in this photo. If this is right, it says from the youth program in 2014. Look at her. This is her all the way in the end. She's so little. She's so young. Like she looks like she doesn't belong with that group. She looks like she's, the younger group that kind of got lost and she she tagged along to the older kids. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not meaning to be mean or anything. She's just tiny. She's a little thing, which makes it even more disturbing that these individuals preyed on her. They preyed on her when she had no family, no support system, and they preyed on her because she is fragile looking. She's small, she's tiny, she's a petite little thing. So of course they're going to if people who are obsessed with power, and that's what SA people who commit SA, that's usually what it's about is power and control. So people who are in this position, controlling, in control of these younger kids, it's very easy to manipulate them and especially someone who doesn't really have the family at home, the support at home that she should. So, anyways, I thought that was important to show. All right, so where are we going next? We're going to the timeline next. So this is the case timeline. In 1997, Sandra Marie Birchmore was born on May 13th, 1997, to Denise F. McCain Birchmore and W. Birchmore. Talked about that. In 1999, Robert C. Devine joined the Stoughton Police Department. 2001, he served as the school resource officer. He's also alleged to have had inappropriate relations with Sandra, FYI. Just he's the leader of the post program, and he brought William and Matthew Farwell into it. In 2022, Robert Devine became the head of the Explorers program. He was ordered to run the program by the former chief Cachopa, I don't know, Cachapa. Devine changed the program model to teaching aspects of policing to youth participants. It was in this program that Devine met Matthew and William Farwell. They attended the program since the age of 12. Farwell brothers were known to have disciplinary issues while attending school. Well, that's interesting. Maybe they were by their parents to go into this Explorers program because they wanted their kids to have a little bit more discipline. I don't know. I've been just speculating. I don't know. All right, so 2003, William Farwell was designated as the rank of lieutenant within the Explorers program. So now William Farwell has even more power over the program. 2005, Sandra attended the program. I don't know what it's called, the Respect program, at the age of 8. Is there a Respect program? I don't know. This page has a lot of grammatical errors, so I don't know what they mean there. 2006, Sandra attended a 14 weeks strengthening program designed to reduce negative factors for children and high risk families. Sandra's mom was quoted, "She likes the fact that they show you what your tools are. Instead of yelling at your child, you sit down and talk," Denise said in an article. In 2010, Sandra Birchmore joined the Youth Explorers program. So, this is the post program, the Youth Explorers program that we're talking about here. But she was only put on the standby list, and then the following year she joined as a member. Stoughton Police ran the Explorer program for about 15 years. The agreement signed by Robert Devine required the department to encourage officers to take youth protection training as well as undergo an annual evaluation by Learning for Life. But the agency said it hasn't found records that Devine, the Farwell brothers, or any of its officers completed the training, nor did it locate any records related to an evaluation. So they were just running this program without any training and no real records or records that could um, provide any kind of information to evaluate them. All right, 2011, Sandra joined the local Explorer post at age 13, hoping to become a police officer. When Sandra Birchmore joined, veteran officer Robert Devine led the Explorers post. He ran the program for more than a decade as he rose through the ranks from a school resource officer to deputy police chief. So he's a deputy police chief at the point when he's doing these inappropriate things with his explorers and allowing his other officers that are training to do the same. And it makes you wonder, like, okay, so I just have a question for all you uh, people out there who do these things, the Matthew Farwells of the world. So you realize, like, hey, this girl is young looking, she has no family, I can maybe groom her. Like, that goes on in your mind or something, and then you're like, hey, I'm gonna tell my twin brother about her so he can enjoy her too. Like, what? Who thinks that way? Like, obviously, they have to be talking about, yeah, I'm banging her or whatever, in order to open it up for others to do the same, to realize that they could do the same to her. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're the person that's doing the crimes to her, and then you're like, oh, yeah, by the way, brother, twin brother, boss of mine, have at it. Here you go. I've already done a lot of the grooming for you. Like, what? Do you know what I'm saying? It's just so gross to me. So gross. These types of crimes are disgusting to me. All right. So, I mean, I don't like crime, period, but this kind, when it involves power and control using physical relations, I don't like that. Gross. All right. So March, where was I? Yeah, they were. Did I read that one? No. Okay, 2011. Sorry. Sandra joined the local Explorer post at 13, hoping to become an officer. When Sandra Birchmore joined, veteran Robert Devine led the Explorer post. He ran the program for a decade. Da, 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 da. Now he's the deputy police chief. Robert Devine brought in former explorers Matthew Farwell, his twin brother William as guest instructors in 2011. September 6, 2011, Robert Farwell, or William Farwell, sorry, applied to PD but was bypassed for employment. Hmm, what does that mean? He applied to a police department, but he didn't get it. March 12th, the department later hired both Farwells as officers. Matthew Farwell was employed as a police officer for the Stoughton Police Department beginning in March 2012. Robert Devine was on a hiring board and helped cover up the fact that Matthew Farwell was caught impersonating police officers. They pulled over cars. Both of the brothers pulled over cars as teenagers while being part of the post program. So they impersonated being a police officer, and yet they still got to be real police officers. Okay. I mean, they literally pulled cars over as teenagers, but all right, okay. Let's have them serve and protect our cities. 2013, William Farwell was or had a physical relationship with a member of the Stoughton Police Explorers Program, Sandra Birchmore, beginning in 2013, and when she was 15 years old, he was 27. Just to give you an idea, 27 years old versus 15 years old. When I was 15, 20-year-olds were gross to me. Sorry, but I don't know. They seemed old, but now 20-year-olds seem way too young. Joshua Heel, time goes by fast, guys. Enjoy it while you can. Joshua Heel was working as an animal control officer also in 2013. 2014, August 17th, Sandra's mother wrote a letter to Devine thanking him for running the Explorer's post. By then, Officer Matthew Farwell had reportedly had physical relations with Birchmore, according to police evidence later cited in a judge's decision allowing the Birchmore family's lawsuit to proceed. So, spoiler alert, the family of Sandra Birchmore is going to be, or has a civil suit right now, suing the police officers involved, the city of Stoughton, city of Canton, Canton Police Officer Department. They've got a lawsuit, a good lawsuit, based on some good evidence, and they have a good chance at winning. All right, so September 2014, William received an offer of employment for the position of patrol officer. He also received an appointment to the Massachusetts State Police and attended MSP Recruit Academy. So these guys who are doing these things to Sandra go off and get promotions, and it drives me wild that nothing gets reported, nothing, it's all covered up. They know one another's doing it, but they can't, get rid of that opportunity for themselves. Sick. All right, 2015. Spring 2015, Birchmore graduated from high school, walking across the stage in flip-flops and with her hair pinned back in a bun. I don't know why they threw in the flip-flop thing, but all right, I like flip-flops. September 8th, 2015, Matthew Farwell was appointed to Wellesley Police Department. August 2015, Robert Devine is featured in some FBI Insider magazine. Internal affairs investigation was ordered by the chief to look into Devine's actions also in 2015. So that's interesting. 2016, Sandra lost her mother and her grandmother within a month from, or about a month. Devine received 60 days. So in 2016, Devine received 60-day unpaid suspension after an internal affairs investigation found that he improperly ordered an investigation into Overstreet. So Overstreet is another individual who will come up in this case, using department resources and technology. Later, Devine, what is it? Devine? I have no idea. Devine was demoted from deputy chief to patrolman. So he got a demotion, but he's still an officer. After photos of an extramarital affair caused a scandal in the department. One of his superiors later described him as exploitive, misogynistic, and risk seeking. In 2017, Matt Farwell was promoted to detective, and also William Farwell was appointed to Stoughton Police Department. In 2018, Sandra approached William Farwell with her interest in joining the Army. Farwell put her in touch with an Army recruiter. William got into the Army, but eventually got kicked out during boot camp. Wonder why. Sandra's closest aunt passed away in 2019. She also took the Massachusetts Civil Service exam in 2019 and was placed on the eligibility list for the Stoughton Police Department. Joshua Heel met Sandra Birchmore in 2019 at the local animal shelter when Sandra came to adopt a cat. They became friends, and she started to confide in him about the details of her relationship with Devine and the Farwell brothers, and probably her pregnancy as well. According to Joshua, they engaged in consensual physical relations once after working hours at the shelter. Got to add in the after working hour. But was it at the shelter? May 19th, 2020, police were called to Sandra Birchmore's home for a well-being check. A dispatcher told officers that Birchmore was saying she wants to harm herself, according to police radio call recordings. The Farwell brothers were not involved in that. June 7th, 2020, Matthew Farwell sent Sandra a text message to meet him on Walnut Street. They spent time together while Farwell was on duty. That's interesting. How do they know that? July 14th, Joshua Heel left Stoughton Animal Control Office to become an Abington police officer. In September 2020, Sandra had applied for housing and was getting her own place. October 2020, Sandra had begun working at East Elementary School in Sharon. She was a teaching assistant there. November 14th, 2020, Sandra moved out from living with her aunt in Stoughton. In December of the same year, she moved into an apartment with the help of Matthew Farwell. December 23rd, Farwell was at Sandra's apartment. Sandra told a friend that she had spoken with Farwell about the pregnancy a few days before Christmas. They argued and she kicked him out of the apartment, but before he left, Sandra said that Farwell told her that he wished she would take herself out of this world. January 22nd, 2021, Sandra Birchmore had an ultrasound. January 30th, Sandra was at a hair salon. 2021, Joshua Heel became a school resource officer in Abington. He resigned while on administrative leave because of a pending internal investigation. What was that about? Birchmore was still alive at that point. Birchmore was pregnant and was looking forward to being a mother. She believed Matthew Farwell was the father, but Matthew Farwell denied it. Note, he also told investigators that he didn't have a relationship physically with Birchmore until 2020. Investigators found text messages indicating it began much earlier. The date, question mark, Sandra Birchmore was a babysitter. We don't know the date, but sometime in 2021. She was a babysitter for Matt Farwell and his wife, who gave birth right around the time of Birchmore's loss of life, which is really sad. I think Matt Farwell had a lot of motive. He had another kid coming into the world with his wife. He had two others already. He didn't want to be found out that he was a corrupt cop who grooms and uh, puts himself in physical relation. I can't say this nicely without YouTube. I'm surprised I've gotten this far with the things he's doing to them. Um, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say. All right, so Sandra's whereabouts. January 2021, Leslie Davis, 26, and Sandra Birchmore went shopping with Birchmore weeks before she lost her life, and so Sandra, when they were shopping together, bought a $200, this Leslie Davis bought a $200 stroller for Birchmore. Sorry. So, yeah, Leslie and Birchmore go shopping in January and they buy a stroller. So someone who's like prepping and buying things for their baby isn't thinking about taking themselves out. January 31st, 2021, Sunday, 9:50. This is her last day. 9:51 a.m. She leaves the building and she's on the telephone. She's on her cell. 10:08, she returns to the building carrying a large box containing a baby car seat. 10:11, she leaves again. 1:15, she returns to the building with two pizza boxes and talking on the telephone. At 4:39 p.m., she leaves the building. At 4:41 p.m., she returns to the building texting on the telephone. February 1st, this is Monday, Sandra spoke with a coworker on the phone. February 1st, same day. I don't know why they put that on there twice. Okay. So it's 12:51 p.m. Sandra entering the building while using her cell phone, at which time she proceeds to the elevator. At 4:25 p.m., Sandra spoke with her aunt. They discussed food Sandra was planning to order. At 5:01 p.m., she's seen getting off the elevator, retrieving a food item from a delivery driver, and returning to the elevator. At 5:31 p.m., Birchmore is seen getting off the elevator in the lobby and exiting the building. 5:33, she's seen leaving the building and then she returns at 5:46 holding a snow brush. So that's when we can presume that she was out there cleaning her car off and she was ready in anticipation for the storm that was on its way. So if there was snow, she was probably cleaning it off. If not, she wanted to make sure she had it for the morning to brush her car off. That's not something you do when you're about to take your own life that night. 9 p.m., Birchmore had sent a coworker a message via Snapchat at approximately 9 p.m. on Monday, February 1st, about work the following day since they both worked for the Sharon school system. There had been a half day on that day due to snow, and a remote half day was scheduled for Tuesday, February 2nd. So she was texting about that, about the snow schedule, snowstorm. Was it a snow day or not? So 9:14 and 56 seconds, a male enters the building. The individual is a tall, burly man. The individual is wearing work boots, jeans, a black jacket, and has a black hood on his head. He's also wearing a mask. It's not a black mask, is it? I thought it was just like a regular COVID mask. The party was not wearing gloves and appears to be white. The man is Caucasian. All right, so 9:28 p.m. The coworker responded to a Snapchat message from Sandra asking whether school would be canceled and because of this nor'easter storm that they were having, but Sandra never opened the communication. So with Snapchat, you can see if the individual actually reads your message, and she never opened it. The colleague said that Birchmore's failure to respond was out of character because she normally was prompt to open and answer Snapchat messages. So these two communicated via Snapchat at least on a regular basis, or, enough to know her habits on Snapchat. At 9:15, a male pushed an elevator button. At 9:14, he entered the elevator. At 9:43, the individual exits the elevator. So he's in there approximately a half an hour. At 9:43 and 41 seconds, the male is exiting the building. The description of the male: when the individual exits the elevator, his jacket coat is open, and the white symbol is seen on the upper left portion of his black sweatshirt. The symbol resembled that is what is believed to be a nine-line logo. Nine-line is a military apparel. That's interesting. 11:58 p.m., a friend said she texted again to Sandra, but she didn't respond. So we can pretty much assume somewhere after before 9:28, between 9:14, 9:28, something got her preoccupied where she wasn't responding, and we see that the male comes into the oh, he comes in at 9:14. Sorry, what was I saying? Oh, at 9 a.m. is when Sandra, or 9 p.m. is when Sandra sends the text to the coworker. 9:14, the man shows up in the building. Coworker responds. 9:28, no response from Sandra. And then you see the 9:4, it went backwards, like it skipped. Anyways, so male pushes the elevator button. You see him enter, exit, and there's a half hour gap in between. So that's a good spot right here to actually. We're going to keep going with the timeline. We've got more of the timeline. I'm going to lose my spot, aren't I? Hold on 1 second. All right, so here is the actual surveillance video. We're going to watch it and start from the beginning here. There's no sound. It's just her. So you see her. She's on the phone. This is February 1st. This is the last day of Sandra Birchmore's life. Here she is. She got some kind of food or something. She's going back inside. She's coming back out. It's like edited, so you just see the moments when it's Sandra out there. So she goes outside, puts her hood up. It doesn't look like it's snowing much there, but we know that we've got a snowstorm coming. So she gets her snow brush, so she has it for the morning, and she goes inside. So now here's the man, the tall, burly man. In the elevator, 9:14 or 9:28, whatever it is. No, it was 9:14. And then he leaves. So let's watch it one more time. She's waiting for her food. She gets it. Comes out, gets her snow brush. comes Matthew Farwell. Yeah, his mask was not black. It was just a regular blue type mask. Yeah, it's blue. Description said it was black, but nonetheless, there you have it. We played it twice. So, yeah, that's the video. That's what we just read the description of. So you can see she exits the building. She enters and exits the building multiple times that day, and then she never leaves after Matthew Farwell, or that man who it is believed to be Matthew Farwell, comes into the home or into her apartment. All right, so where were we? All right, so Monday. Da, 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 da. Were we on Thursday? Okay, surveillance video timestamp is off by 13 minutes. Okay, so that's good to know. Also, it snowed on Monday, February 1st into Tuesday, the 2nd. So it wasn't snowing yet when she went to go get her snow brush, but she knew, they all knew, and were preparing that this big snowstorm was coming. So she went and grabbed her snow brush. February 4th, Thursday. So we're still on the timeline. We watched the surveillance video. That was the last time that Sandra Birchmore has been seen alive. So that was whatever her last timestamp was when she came in from the lobby. So then this is now February 4th. What, how many days? Oh, it's a Thursday. So Monday she doesn't come to school. Tuesday, Wednesday she doesn't come to school. Thursday they call. The resource, the school resource officer was contacted by a school official to provide a wellness check on Sandra Birchmore after she missed a few days of work. So people had noticed Sandra didn't come to work. It's now Thursday. Why did they wait till Thursday? Monday through Thursday? Like, wouldn't you be like after one day? If that wasn't her normal thing, wouldn't you want a wellness check before that? Maybe 1 or 2 days. I don't know. This just seems weird to me. And that they waited till Thursday, but whatever. All right, so 10 a.m. on February 4th, Michael Lank. Remember him, guys? He is the officer that he testified in the Karen Ray trial. He is good friends with Chris Albert. He also has some he has an interesting history with Chris Albert. Going back many years, he started a fight and with the Lapalato brothers. They were one individual, just like one of the brothers, he just started arresting for no reason and being violent and physical and physically aggressive. And the charges were immediately, well, there were no charges until, so the brothers were going to go complain to the police station. They're like, you know what, you can't make a complaint about Michael Lank today, so come back in whatever days, however many days, to talk to this person. And before they could, they pressed charges on the brothers who were not the instigators of the violent acts that were taking place. And anyways, so long story short, Michael Link basically got a slap on the wrist. He was sued by the brothers. He did lose the lawsuit, but he's still a cop. And he's a detective at that now. He was not supposed to be, as part of his punishment, he was not supposed to be ever promoted. But yet, here we are. He's a detective for Canton PD. Michael Link, good friends with Chris Albert, brother of Brian Albert, who owned the home at 34 Fairview Road. I like to remind everybody of that. All right, so at 10 a.m., Michael Link was notified by the SRO, the school resource officer, Qatar, or Qatar, I don't know, We'll say Cottard, that he was going to be conducting a well-being check on the party at 3307 Woods Way. So Michael Lank is going to be the one finding Sandra Birchmore, it seems. Um, Officer Pollard, Brady, and Eaton responded to 3307 Windsor Woods Way in an effort to make contact with Sandra. Okay, so Detective Lank wasn't the one to find her, but he's still involved. Once on the scene, Officer Cottard notified Michael Lank that nobody was answering the door. Officer Cottard was then able to locate Sandra's vehicle in the parking lot. The vehicle was covered in snow and appeared to not have been moved since the snowfall on Monday. Being unable to reach anybody in the apartment, officers on scene were able to make contact with the property manager, Aaron Porter, who provided them with a key to access the apartment for a well-being check. Upon entering the apartment, Officer Cottard located Sandra in the bedroom. So Officer Cottard found her. She was deceased with a black strap around her neck, which was tied to the bedroom closet door, which is weird. Not really the way you would think to do it, to take yourself out. Anyways, at this point, the scene was secured, and Officer Yeaton requested Michael Lank respond to the scene along with Detective McCourt. Detectives learned from maintenance Michael saw the party in the video before with Sandra, that the individual on camera looked like a guy who helped Sandra move into her apartment. That was what the maintenance worker said. Sandra moved sometime in December, so she had just moved there like 2 months prior. Sandra Birchmore was found not alive in her apartment at the Canton police, by the Canton police. I didn't know how else to say that, so sorry. Responding officers Cottard, Brady, Yeaton, Lank, Sergeant Lank. Oh, he is sergeant, sorry, but I think he's a detective too. Um, and Those are the responding officers. Okay, apartment. There were two cats in the apartment. There was a kitchenette immediately upon entry toward the left side. There was a living room area directly in the front of the entranceway, a short hallway that led directly to the bathroom, and a single bedroom was to the left side of the hallway. Hold on one second. I was trying to find like a apartment layout, but I cannot find these apartments. I think they were changed. The name might have been changed to Canton Woods Apartments, but I'm not even sure. So I can't find apartment complex. I was going to show you like at least some kind of pictures to show you what the apartment might have looked like, but I can't. So never mind. All right, so the countertops in the kitchenette were almost entirely covered with personal items to include postal correspondence, junk mail, medication, and trash, and an ultrasound photograph that with Birchmore's name on it and the date of birth were printed on the ultrasound. The conditions of the apartment were cluttered and unkept. According to, or especially in the living room area, the officers noted trash and clumps of cat fur on the carpet, indicating that it had not been cleaned or vacuumed in some time. There was debris, trash, and personal effects on virtually every horizontal surface in the living room. There were two glass end tables. Why are they like trashing her cleanliness? I don't know. Whatever. All right. They're like messy people shaming. So what if people are messy? Well, whatever. It's their home. They're right. All right. There were two glass end tables, a dining room table, a glass coffee table, a couch, and a television stand with a television. There was a nook area that contained two recliners side by side, which were both covered on top and in front with personal effects and boxes. The bedroom door was closed. Once the door was open, there was a desk lamp turned on and colored Christmas lights around the window that were also on. The room was cluttered and untidy in the same manner as the kitchenette and living room, with items covering the desk and a plastic storage table with drawers. There was an unmade bed with a sheet over the mattress and an exposed box spring. Sandra's eyeglasses were on top of the bed. Among the scattered items inside the bed, they found a U.S. Army ACU pattern duffel bag. How the body was found. Sandra was in a seat positioned on the floor with a scarf around her neck. They say scarf, strap. It's really a black strap, I believe. I mean, that's the regular, like that's the word, but sometimes the people call it a scarf or whatnot, but really it was some kind of a strap. I don't know if it's a belt or what, but it's just weird. It's odd. And she was sitting on the floor. That's not how you would normally be in a choking, hanging situation. Why would you be on the floor if you can reach the floor? You know what I'm saying? With the scarf around her neck and tightly affixed to the closet door handle. So it's on the door handle, and she's on the. That's not a way, like your self preservation, wouldn't that kick in? I don't know how you would end your own life from a doorknob, a door handle. Other officer said that the strap was tied to the door handle of the bedroom closet. Wait, what? Why does it say other officer? Closet door, bedroom closet. They both are saying the same thing. This website is terrible. It's not terrible. It has a lot of good information, but somebody needs to proof it, I think. All right, so there was no visible trauma to the head or defensive abrasions on the hands. According to Ensley Cottard, I also noticed a large pooling of dried blood around her mouth. Due to the discoloration of skin, she was blue, and the lividity, and it appeared that the female had been there for a long period of time. Birchmore's cell phone was on the floor approximately 12 inches from her right hand and 6 inches away from her right knee. Chris Adams and Caitlin Bulger of the medical examiner's office took custody of the body. Medical examiner's office, um, that just repeats the same thing. Okay. Evening. Michael J. Link was contacted via email by Erin Porter, who is the property manager of Windsor Woods. She stated that she had seen somebody enter the building on the video footage that she believed was Alexander Stenstrom, who was a friend of Sandra. Alexander had applied for housing a few weeks back with the recommendation of Sandra. She said she was not positive due to face coverings, but she wanted to bring it to our attention. I advised her that we would look into the matter when we were able to access the video footage again. So that was Michael Link's uh, recollection of his conversation with her. All right, so February 5th, 2021, Friday at 1:08 p.m. Detectives spoke with Sandra's aunt, who stated she was aware that Sandra Birchmore was pregnant and that the father of the baby is Matthew Farwell. Sandra had previously mentioned that she and Farwell had been talking through issues regarding Farwell signing the birth certificate, which was asked if she was aware of any allegations or signs of maltreatment between Farwell and Birchmore, to which she stated she was not aware of any. Deputy Chief Brian Holmes ordered a full and complete internal investigation to determine what, if any, misconduct was committed by members of the Stoughton Police Department. So by February 4th, February 5th, they were already looking into the Stoughton police officers. They knew something was up, probably because of the relationship that people knew she may have had with Farwell and others. All right, so now Saturday, February 6th, 8 a.m., Michael Link returns to work as a patrol sergeant on the 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift. Once at work, he had another email received from Porter stating that she had a concerning phone call on Friday night around 9 p.m. Matthew Farwell was interviewed by Mass State Police. During the interview, he admitted to having a relationship with Sandra. So this is also on February 6th, that Saturday. Farwell said that he went to her apartment to break up to break up with her, to break off the relationship. She was upset, but she didn't make any kind of statements about self-harm or self-deletion, and was standing in her kitchen when he left, according to Matthew Farwell. She was standing in the kitchen. Aaron Porter, she told him, says, wait, what? Why is this Aaron Porter? Are these all according to different detectives then? According to Aaron Porter, who is the property manager, told him that she received a call last night on their emergency line from a party named Tina Thompson. She said that Thompson was very upset and was making statements about Birchmore. Never heard of this, so bear with me as I'm learning this Tina Thompson with you guys. She stated that Birchmore had been dating a police officer and that she told Aaron Porter that the police officer told Birchmore he would take care of the problem himself. Interesting. Aaron Porter advised her that she should be speaking with the police and not her. Detective McCourt provided Trooper Tufts with all of the information as well as the contact information for Aaron Porter and for Thompson. So they reached out to Thompson. They got information from Thompson. So this is the woman, Tina Thompson, who called Aaron Porter, the property manager. Thompson says that she spoke with Birchmore about 4 weeks ago, and this was when she first learned that Birchmore was pregnant. Birchmore told her that the dot 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 and that she seemed nervous about it. I don't know what that means. About the pregnancy? Birchmore told her that the something something something, I don't know, maybe it's redacted because there is a lot of redacted information in these documents because it's still an ongoing investigation, I believe. Even though, well, is it still ongoing? It should be. They should be looking into these officers. All right, so Thompson, she she told Faraday that the father, I don't know who Faraday is now, the father was a police officer who was not happy about the pregnancy and did not want it, probably. All right, so Sandra never told her where or in what capacity the boyfriend worked as a police officer. Sandra went on to say that the two had broken up and were no longer together. The next time Faraday recalls talking with Sandra was approximately 3 weeks ago. During this conversation, Faraday stated that Sandra seemed to be happier and joked with Faraday about anticipating multiple packages to be delivered in the coming weeks as I don't know. She was having things delivered to her home, baby items delivered to her home. Also something that you don't do when you're about to take yourself out. Uh, also stated that once the baby is here, she was hoping to move into a bigger unit within Windsor Woods. So she's got plans. She's got these things planned out for her life that someone who doesn't want to be here wouldn't be planning all this out. Faraday told detectives that all packages that are delivered by courier come to the leasing office and then they send a message to the tenant. She told the detectives that she had a record of Sandra's recent deliveries. She picked up 2 packages on the 30th of January. There were 3 packages from Kohl's that were delivered last week but had not been picked up yet. Why do they keep allowing that? That's weird. There was one more package that had just arrived on this day So the day that they were interviewing Thompson, the 6th of February from Kohl's. Packages were small, and based on what Faraday had told detectives, I did not open the packages, but brought them into the attention of troopers Dunn and Tufts. At 3:10 p.m., detectives interviewed Matthew Farwell at the Gibbons School in Stoughton in a parking lot out front. And here's what entailed. All right, so Matt said that sometime early in 2020, he began a physical relationship with Sandra. He said that he was intoxicated one night and ended up meeting up with her and having relations. Matt said that he maybe had relations with her 2 to 3 times since last year. Bullshit. He said that the last time they had relations was at the end of October 2020. Matt said that sometime in December 2020, Sandra told him that she was pregnant and he was the father. Matt said that he was confident the last time he had relations with her and that the timeline didn't add up based on her expected due date in September. Of course, Matt's going to say that. Matt was adamant that he is not the father of the unborn child that Sandra was carrying at the time of her homicide. Monday, February 1st, 2021, he went to Sandra's apartment in Canton. He said that he asked her if he could come by, and she said that was no problem. He said that he intended on breaking everything off with Sandra. Well, he also said that he broke up with her even prior to that. So why is he going there to break it up with her again in February if they were already broken up? That's an inconsistency right there in his statements. All right, so he intended on breaking everything off. Matt said that he told Sandra that she was crazy and it was not his child. He said that Sandra told him that he was a dick. Well, I'm not in disagreement. Matt said that he was straightforward in his conversation with her and told her that it was all over and he was blocking her from all forms of communication. Matt said that it was a pretty nasty argument, but they weren't too loud. Matt said he kept telling Sandra that there is no way that he's the father based on her timeline. He said that he kept calm and was not trying to incite a fight. Matt said that Sandra was upset, but she did not make any threats or statements about taking her own life. Matt said that hold on, sorry, I think they're barking at somebody outside. All right. Where did they leave off? They weren't too loud. They had these arguments. Matt said he left, and Sandra was standing in the kitchen when he walked out. Matt said he arrived around 9:10 p.m. and left around 9:30. Kind of, sort of, but not so much because it was 9:15 to 9:45. So he's 15 minutes. He's giving himself the 15-minute window prior to the 15 minutes he was there, or 30 minutes he was there, I mean. Whatever it was. So Matt is observed by video surveillance entering and leaving Sandra's building. The approximate time was 28 minutes. So yeah, about 30 minutes he was in there. Matt said that when he left, he blocked Sandra on all communication platforms. He said that the last time he had seen Sandra prior to Monday, February 1st, was approximately a week before. He said that he had been trying to distance himself from her. He said that Sandra was having relations with other people during their entire time together. Well, that doesn't mean anything, buddy. So what? You were grooming her to be that way, to pass her around. Matt did not know that Sandra was telling other people that he was the father of her unborn child. Matt said that he had been to her Canton apartment 5 to 6 times and he helped her move in. He said that he had never had relations with her in the Canton apartment. Matt said that prior to the Canton apartment, Sandra was living at her grandmother's house on Holbrook Avenue in Stoughton. Alrighty. February 8th. Detective interviewed Sandra's closest friend. They met in high school, and Birchmore was one academic year below her. She and Birchmore would typically speak approximately 3 times a week and would see one another in person 1 to 2 times per week. She stated that Birchmore told her that she had kicked the baby's father out of her apartment one time, approximately 2 to 3 weeks earlier, after the two had argued about the birth certificate issue, and stated that Birchmore also had told her about another verbal argument that the two had. Birchmore told her that she and the father of the baby were still trying to figure out how to approach the situation with respect to him signing the baby's birth certificate. According to Birchmore, she said that she would waver between being okay with signing it and then not signing it, or that not okay with it, I guess. So he didn't want to sign it, I'm assuming, and she probably wanted him to for liability reasons, I mean, you want to make sure that you're getting child support and things like that. And that might have been motivation for Matthew Farwell to get rid of her. Detective interviewed the teacher and a friend. So this is what came of that. Birchmore would not necessarily get sad when something upset her. Instead, she would tend to become aggressive and angry if something were to upset her. She stated that she was never really sure if she could take Birchmore's word as true. For example, she was aware Birchmore would occasionally fabricate events. For that reason, stated that she was leery of what Birchmore would tell her and what was actually true. She stated that recently she had spoken with Birchmore less often due to the coronavirus pandemic. During this time, she described their communication as spotty. In January 2021, she told her that she was pregnant. Birchmore stated that the father was a close friend but did not mention a name. She stated that she was not sure if Birchmore was telling the truth about the pregnancy at the time, given that she could not always believe Sandra Birchmore's word. January 22nd, Birchmore told her that she already had several ultrasounds. Birchmore would share drama about the Stoughton police with her, specifically mentioning how the chief was treating one specific officer unfairly. Which officer? Is it Farwell? Or, I don't know, Devine? The other Farwell? All right, interviewed witness from 10:58 a.m. She had met Birchmore around December on January while taking classes at whatever, some school. I don't know how to say that. She stated that she and Birchmore spoke almost daily. She had last spoken with Birchmore on Sunday, January 31st. According to her phone, for the time, they had spoken at 11:57 a.m. and that she had received a missed call from Birchmore at 7:16 p.m. on that day. According to Birchmore, she was approximately 12 weeks pregnant and planned to announce it publicly on February 14th, for Valentine's Day. Birchmore had mentioned being involved in a court case due to a car crash she had been in. She was also upset with the father of the baby upset that the father of the baby wanted to have his own kids with his wife, but not with her. That makes sense. When questioned about any signs or mention of maltreatment between the baby's father and Birchmore, stated that she knew he had raised his voice to Birchmore before, but never anything more than that. So only yelling, no physical altercations that we know of. Now, this is from a detective interview, cousin of Sandra Birchmore's mother. She had seen Sandra Birchmore in person approximately 2 weeks ago, at which time they had spoken about her pregnancy and stated that she believed the baby's father had a key to Sandra Birchmore's apartment. Oh. During her conversation with Birchmore, she brought up the topic of adoption. However, Birchmore stated she was not considering that as an option. Sandra never mentioned him by name. An aunt said that Sandra had a baby seat for his children before. What? aunt said Sandra that Birchmore, terrible writing, sorry guys. Okay. So Birchmore had babysat for his children before, which she believed to have occurred somewhat recently. Okay. A detective interviewed a friend. She and her sister had breakfast with Birchmore, which turned into a long conversation. She stated that Birchmore was a member of the Respect program at age 8 and later the Junior Officer program at age 13. I didn't know there was a Respect program. Birchmore began a relationship with Matt Farwell of the Stoughton Police Department at age 15, according to this friend. Birchmore had previously enlisted in the military at one point but had gotten kicked out. She was pressuring Matt Farwell to sign the baby's birth certificate. She further stated that Matt's brother, Billy Farwell, had informed Matt's wife about the affair. Matt's wife confronted him, but he denied it. Birchmore had previously told that Matt Farwell's wife knew about the affair. Why would Billy tell Matt's wife about it? A little strange. Unless he was mad at Matthew for something. I don't know. Detective interviewed close friend of Birchmore. So this is what the close friend of Birchmore says. She has known Birchmore since they were 7 or 8 years old, at the time which they were involved in a program that helps mothers strengthen bonds with their children. They then played volleyball together from approximately ages 9 through 12. Stated she moved to a different school in Brookline around fifth or sixth grade, but remained living in Stoughton. Over the years, she and Birchmore would lose touch for an extended period of time, then reconnect and occasionally communicate via social media or an occasional text message here or there. This continued into their late teens and early 20s. According to this past According to somebody, this past summer, or according to this witness, I guess, this past summer, she and Birchmore began to interact once again. Sandra asked if she could move into her house. Birchmore said she at the time had said, Birchmore had said at the time that she was having an issue with her aunt, who was selling the house where they were both living. Also stated that Birchmore did not trust her aunt with her cats and wanted mother to look after them. Birchmore also asked to watch her cats and dogs if she ended up going back to the military. November or early December, she went over to Birchmore's apartment complex where they hung out for approximately 2 hours outside the building, then went over to Birchmore's apartment a few days after that. Around December 12th, Birchmore told her that she was pregnant. She told me that the baby's father was a Stoughton detective, but she did not say his name. Birchmore told her that she and the father are dating, but because he's still married, they are not official. So was Farwell telling Sandra that he was going to leave his wife for her? Because she's complaining that they're still married, not just that he's married, but that she can't make it public because he's still married and they can't make it an official relationship yet. Birchmore had told her that the baby's father was going to divorce his wife, but can't right now because of the coronavirus. Oh, that's convenient. Birchmore had told her that at the time she became pregnant. Birchmore further told her that she used to babysit his kids, I'm assuming. Birchmore asked if she was going to have a baby too and mentioned something about baby fever. Birchmore began avoiding certain foods when she began to suspect she was pregnant, but pointed out this was before Birchmore even took a blood or urine pregnancy test. Birchmore told her she had told the baby's father about the pregnancy a few days after Christmas. Do you think she got pregnant on purpose? Apparently, the father was upset about the pregnancy and she then kicked him out of the apartment. Stated that Birchmore told her he had said, I wish you would take your own life, or I wish you were no longer here. She wanted the baby to have the father's last name and wanted the birth certificate to reflect that. She also wanted him in the delivery room when she gave birth. Birchmore had demanded that if he could be in the delivery room with with his wife, then he could be in the delivery room with her. Birchmore had told, see, she's starting to demand things. She's starting to get pushy. She wants him to be on the birth certificate. She wants him to be in uh, the hospital room, the delivery room with her. I'm not saying that any of these things are wrong, but I'm just saying these are things that if you are an individual who is trying to keep her a secret and your relationship with her and your pregnancy with her a secret, her pushing and saying, "Yeah, I want you there. I want your name. I want the baby to have your name and all this stuff." It's going to push him away. It's going to like make him more stressed out and angry about the situation and push him to maybe make some decisions or take some actions that he doesn't really want it or really shouldn't do. All right. Anyways, she wanted the baby to have his name. She wanted him in the delivery room. Birchmore demanded that if he could be with his wife, then he could be with her in the delivery room. Birchmore had told her about a second meeting between her and the father of the baby to discuss the pregnancy, which occurred sometime around January 8th. According to Birchmore, and the father argued at this meeting as well. Birchmore had owed her the money for a couple months, and eventually she told Birchmore she needed some of it paid back. What money? January 16th, 2021, stated that Birchmore responded by saying that she would spend her $150 that night. After receiving no response from Birchmore, she got irritated and asked her why she only stopped responding when she requested that Birchmore pay her back. Birchmore responded a few days later, stating that she didn't respond because she had hit her head on the car door and then again on the pavement and had to go to the hospital. What? January 20th, she called the Stoughton police and informed them about the monetary dispute. She advised that this is a civil matter. For $150? I thought this was a good friend. I guess it's not a close friend of Birchmore, and they're arguing over 150 bucks. Um, where was I? All right, January 20th, she called the Stoughton police and informed them about the monetary dispute. She advised that this was a civil matter. She stated that she became upset and responded to the officer on the phone by insinuating that the Stoughton officer or detective that Birchmore is engaged in physical relationship with would tell her to pay back the money she owes. Stated she then received a phone call from Birchmore not long after this took place. Doesn't sound like this is a good friend very much. I don't know. Interview with ex-wife of Birchmore's mother's cousin. Birchmore had told her that she was upset about her aunt selling the house. She stated that Birchmore seemed down and knew that the pregnancy was going to be an uphill battle. She stated that she knew the father was a detective, has two children of his own, and that his wife is pregnant and due sometime in February. They had very similar due date, or no, not similar due dates. She um, was she like 3 months pregnant, 12 weeks pregnant? Um, Further stated that the father of the baby is a twin and Birchmore's mother is a twin. So they had discussed the potential of Birchmore possibly being more likely to have twins. She said that she later spoke with Birchmore after the ultrasound and was told Birchmore was only pregnant with one child. She just didn't want the father's wife to find out. Birchmore had told her that the father was willing to help with the pregnancy and the baby, stated that she and Birchmore discussed that, but she stated that she and Birchmore discussed, but they also spoke about topics such as her plans for the baby daycare and baby shower. So they discussed it and discussed what she was going to do with the baby once the baby was here. That's not something someone who's going to take their own life does. All right. Detectives interview a friend of Birchmore when they were younger, or a friend of Birchmore's from when they were younger, I would say. All right, so she moved across the street from Birchmore's house. She, meaning this person that they're interviewing, she moved across the street from Birchmore's house when she was 4 years old and had known Birchmore off and on for about 17 years. Stated that she and Birchmore were very close between the ages of 4 and 12. She stated that until about a month ago, she had not spoken to Birchmore in approximately 2 years. According to Birchmore, she had reached out to her about a month ago out of the blue. Stated that she was actually kind of surprised to hear from Birchmore. She stated that when they last spoke, they had left things not necessarily on bad terms, but not on great terms. They then spoke via FaceTime for approximately 2 hours. During that conversation, Birchmore told her that she was pregnant and that she was not sure who the father was. I thought she knew it was Matthew Farwell. She said that she was sleeping with the twin brothers, stated that Birchmore told her that one or both of the twins were cops. Stated that Birchmore never actually said the name of either party. Birchmore told her that she wasn't sure what to do and asked her for her advice since already she had her own kid of her own, this individual that's being interviewed. So, when asked to elaborate on what Birchmore told her regarding the pregnancy, she stated that Birchmore did not know who the father was to a time frame thing in which she was having physical relations with more than one individual around the time she became pregnant. However, she stated that Birchmore later told her that she knew who the father was and stated he was a cop. Birchmore told her that he made a lot of money, stated that it was an awkward situation because the father of the baby was married and Birchmore did not know what to do. That she had told the father of the baby how much money he would have to pay once the baby was here. According to Birchmore, she told her that she would be demanding $4,000 per month from the baby's father, plus an additional $3,000 for daycare. Whew, a lot of money per month that she wanted. Stated that Birchmore had already picked out a specific daycare center, the Creative World Children's Learning Center in Southeaston. And she noted that it was not even a month into her pregnancy when Birchmore told her all of this. Birchmore told her that the baby's father was in denial, saying that it was not his child. Birchmore told her that he did not seem happy about the pregnancy. Further stated that Birchmore seemed set on having the baby alone. If he was not going to be involved, he stated she did not need help. Said Birchmore seemed completely okay with that, with him not getting involved. Anyway, stated that she was aware that sometimes Birchmore would make up stories. However, she believed the information at the time and it sounded real. Then went on to state that she was aware there were various rumors going around Stoughton regarding Birchmore's loss of life, such as it being from self-deletion, that the cop was involved, and that it was suspicious with BLOOD all over the walls in her apartment. But I don't think that's true. Just rumors, speculating. All right, detective collected an iPhone 11 from Matthew Farwell. That was all on February 9th. We're still on February 9th. Detectives met with Farwell at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office in Canton. Might recognize that. Good old Michael Morrissey and Anna Mullally work out of the Norfolk District Attorney's Office right there in Canton. All right, so Matthew gave consent to retrieve the data off his phone relative to the investigation into Sandra Birchmore's loss of life. February 11th now. Trooper Dunn interviewed William or Billy Farwell, Matt's twin brother, in a parking lot at a Cobb's Corner in Stoughton. Is that like a grocery center, Cobb's Corner or something? Or a restaurant? I don't know. Not from there. You guys that are from there, let me know. All right, so Billy said that he heard Sandra passed away on Friday. Billy, this cracked me up that they're Billy, because I don't know. Billy said that he first met Sandra about 10 months ago when Sandra was a police officer or police explorer in Stoughton and Billy was a guest instructor. The Police Explorer program is a junior academy program for high school aged kids, exposing them to the different facets of law enforcement. Billy said that he had not seen Sandra in a very long time, probably since the Explorers program. Billy became a Stoughton police officer in 2017. Billy saw Sandra while he was working in paid detail in Stoughton. Billy said that Sandra remembered him, but he didn't remember her really that well. Liar, 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 pants on fire. Billy said that Sandra wanted to get into the Army and asked if he had any contacts. Billy, who still serves in the military, helped her get in contact with recruiters to get into the Army. Billy said that Sandra got into the Army but eventually got kicked out during boot camp. Billy said that Sandra started constantly contacting him. He said that the last time he was in contact with Sandra was about 2 weeks ago via email. Sandra told Billy that she had been accepted to nursing school. Billy said that he had a physical relationship with Sandra going back about 2 years. He said that in 2020, he had been with her 2 to 3 times. Billy said that the last time they were together was sometime in December of 2020, and Sandra told Billy that she was pregnant and the father was his brother Matt. Billy said that he knew what he didn't, or he knew that he didn't get her pregnant. Yeah, you knew. Okay. All right, February 12th. Interview with a friend. Stated that she had known Birchmore since elementary school. She stated that over time she and Birchmore fell out of touch but connected toward the end of high school around the time they were age 17 or 18. Said that she and Birchmore attended volleyball open court sessions in Stoughton around that time. She stated that Sandra Birchmore told her that at one point, after expressing he was unhappy about the pregnancy, an argument took place between the two. Birchmore told him that she was going to tell his wife and his job. Oh, stated that Birchmore was aware this would get him into trouble. That's why. Because she threatened to tell his wife and uh, his supervisors. I mean, I'm not blaming Sandra. I'm not giving any kind of victim blaming, but it just that's the motive. I mean, these are the reasons why Matt Farwell would want her gone. Who benefits from her being gone the most? Him. Because then he doesn't have to deal with his wife. He doesn't have to deal with the repercussions of what he was doing with underage girls on the job as an officer. Disgusting. Anyways, all right, so she stated, da, 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 da. Read that. She stated that Sandra Birchmore told her that at one point, after expressing he was unhappy about the pregnancy, an argument took place. He wanted to tell his wife and his job. Okay. Stated that Birchmore was aware this would get him in trouble. The father of the child then got angry, I'm not surprised, and took Sandra Birchmore's phone from her. This was approximately 2 weeks prior to her being found deceased. Sandra Birchmore told her that she had been sleeping with a married man and he was the father of the baby. She also told her that she had already bought a baby stroller that she said that Birchmore had wanted a family of her own, but she believed the baby's father may not have wanted the pregnancy. Well, we know that's for sure. According to Sandra Birchmore, she wasn't trying to not get pregnant. When asked to elaborate, said that she believed Birchmore may have intentionally gotten pregnant. A close friend of hers says she thinks she may have gotten intentionally pregnant. Sandra Birchmore had sent her a message via Snapchat at approximately 9 p.m. on Monday, February 1st, right? February 1st? About work the following day since they both worked at the Sharon School system. There had been a half day on the snow day, and a remote half day was scheduled for Tuesday. They spoke about work, but stated that Birchmore never responded to her last Snapchat message. She stated that Sandra Birchmore told her that at one point, after expressing he was unhappy about the pregnancy, an argument took place between the two. Sandra Birchmore told him that he was going to tell his wife and his job. She stated that Birchmore was aware that this was going to get him in trouble. The father of the child then got angry and took Sandra's phone. This is all repetitive. 2 weeks prior, Sandra Birchmore had also told her that he would not, or he should leave his wife. He loves me, and that he loves Sandra more than his wife. So that's what she was telling the friend, that this guy loves Sandra more than his wife, and he should leave his wife and be with her because he loves her. That's sad. That's sad that Matthew Farwell was telling her, probably, most likely, telling her these things, trying to get her to, stay in the relationship because at some point you're going to be like, hey, buddy, you're married. I don't want to do this anymore unless you're not married. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I would not cheat. Um, anyways. All right, so May 2021, the state office of the chief medical examiner ruled that Birchmore, 23, a former participant in a Stoughton police youth program who was pregnant when she died, took her own life by hanging according to her death certificate, which we will look at. Farwell was automatically certified as a police officer in Massachusetts. Why? Detectives received Sandra's MacBook Air December 20, oh, that was in October 6th, sorry, where the detectives received her MacBook. December 22nd, 2021. So why is this investigation taking place so long, so far out? So she loses her life in February. Now we're in December now, just getting more evidence. All right, so detectives received all pet adoption files from the Stoughton Animal Control Shelter. There were no records of Sandra adopting a cat from the shelter where Joshua Heel was employed as an animal control officer. Stoughton investigators interviewed Joshua Heel as part of their inquiry into Sandra, but Heel walked off the interview. He didn't feel like a witness, rather, he felt like he was being interrogated. And that's a quote. I don't know from who, but it's a quote. So Joshua Heel did not continue his interview with Stoughton investigators as investigators were looking into Sandra Birchmore. So it is believed possibly that she may have received the cat in exchange for physical relations with Joshua Heel. And that might be why there's no record. But I don't know for sure. But that is what is rumored to be out there. All right, so February 2022. So we're a year out now. Joshua Heel agreed to another interview. During his second interview, he said that because Birchmore had confided so much to him, he would tell Heel details about her relation. She would tell Heel details about her relationships with the other Stoughton police officers, including sharing photos and videos. Birchmore told sharing photos and videos. Okay. Birchmore told him Matthew Farwell used a phone to track her whereabouts and met her for for relations at his residence and at the soccer field. Heel testified that Birchmore seemed to need to vent. Well, heck yeah, she would. She needed somebody. Somebody needed to save her, and Joshua Heel failed. Failed on all accounts. She needed someone to step in and be a hero, be a real cop, be a real individual who seeks justice. But no, you let her sit there and vent about the relations that she was having with these Stone police officers who groomed her since she was 15 years old, and let's just continue to let it happen and not say anything about it. April 1st, Matthew Farwell resigned from his position. April 8th, Robert Devine was interviewed by Paul Italian and Robert Fries at the MPCT Training Academy. During the interview, Devine denied that he had any kind of relationship with Sandra. And on August 1st, Farwell, so this would be William Farwell, resigned from police department. August 16th, Robert Devine resigned from the police department. So if they had nothing going on, why did they resign? Well, obviously there were internal investigations going on with these three officers, and this is around that time. I mean, April 1st, you can't deny because Matthew was the father or or supposed father of the baby that he was, a main suspect in the investigation, a main target, I guess, in the investigation because of his relationship with her. However, as they dug and continued their investigations, these two emerged, Far William Farwell and Robert Devine, and they needed to be investigated as well. So it just took time for them to investigate, and um, a year and some change before they resigned. August 29th, investigation into possible violations was completed. So the internal affairs investigation ended in August. Then also the Stoughton Police Department sustained allegations that Farwell engaged in conduct becoming of an officer, was incompetent, was untruthful, and failed to display the proper attention and devotion to his duty. I mean, damn, I agree with all of that. September 23rd, 2022, Stoughton Police Chief Donna McNamara held a press conference on Friday, September 23rd, 2022, at police headquarters, where she revealed the results of an internal investigation which found that three now former Stoughton police officers engaged in inappropriate relations with a young woman who took her own life while pregnant last year. Joshua Heel was put on administrative leave after the Stoughton police, uh, the Stoughton deputy chief told Chief David Del Papa they considered Heel a non-credible witness. So he was not credible? What? I think he's not credible. Well, he did run away from his first interview, but I don't know. They thought he was not credible. Okay. October 10th, 2022, the Commission denied the Stoughton Police Department's application for recertification of Farwell. And the investigation also revealed inappropriate communication between a military recruiter and Birchmore. So there's somebody else involved. So mad. They just passed her around like she was nothing to them. So sad. November 22nd, 2022. The Commission authorized the division to conduct a preliminary inquiry into the allegations of misconduct against Farwell. December 29th, 2022, Darlene Smith, the aunt of Sandra Birchmore, she's listed as the personal representative of the estate of Sandra Birchmore, filed a lawsuit against Matthew Farwell and former officers William Farwell and Robert Devine, the town of Stoughton, and the Stoughton Police Department. The lawsuit states, I think Canton PD was on there too, but that might have gotten dropped or something. I'm not sure, but I thought Canton PD was on there too. The lawsuit states that the complaint claims a grooming scheme and misconduct led to Sandra Birchmore's homicide. Friends and family of Birchmore have found her homicide to be more suspicious despite reports listing her death as self-deletion. June 30th, 2023, the division submitted its report of preliminary inquiry to the commission. July 12th, 2023, the commission voted to initiate disciplinary proceedings against Farwell. So March 22nd, of this year, Matthew Farwell's um, law enforcement certificate has been revoked. He's no longer able to be a cop anywhere. So that's that for his policing days. July 12th, 2024, civil lawsuit motion to compel hearing. Sandra Birchmore. So this just happened. And we will watch this eventually, but we're going to get to it at the end because we're going in order. This is more of like the timeline, the important events in Sandra's life, and then in the next episode, we're going to talk about the Stoughton police officers involved, and then also going on from there, we'll go into the investigation, the internal affairs investigation, all that. So we're going to get to all of it eventually. But for this, there was a motion to compel hearing, which was broadcast on YouTube, so we will be able to watch that. All right, so Sandra Birchmore's hearing focused on a motion to compel document. The Attorney General's office had objected to Farwell's attorney's motion to produce documents related to the investigation. She's trying to get documents through the court ordered because it is going to help in her defense or her, um, not defense, but in her argument, in her court case against these individuals. So during a hearing Friday morning on a motion to compel the Attorney General's office to provide these documents, attorneys also confirmed that a separate federal investigation by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office is underway. So it is under investigation by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. So federal investigation is happening. State investigation, that's done. That's over with. They think that it was Sandra who took her own life. All right, so the Attorney General's office took over an investigation that was being led by Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey's office, which again makes me believe that this is the case that got the FBI looking at the Norfolk District Attorney's office, which led to the whole fiasco with Karen Reed case and all of it. Not the fiasco, but just that it was taking place in the first place at all. All right, so we're going to talk briefly. So we're almost done with this episode, but I want to talk briefly about how Sandra's body was found, the autopsy, and that kind of thing. So we're not going to go deep into the medical examiner's report unless you guys really want me to, but this is actually, I think this is for LinkedIn. It's not the actual report itself. This is the death certificate here, which it just says pending investigation, pending. Hard to read, but you can see never married, white, unknown, Boston, Sandra Birchmore, 23 years old, and yeah, pending investigation, the manner and cause, both pending. So what's that about? Well, let's read. All right, so her first autopsy was performed by Maria Del Mar Campo Martinez. May 2021, State Office of the Chief Medical Examiner ruled that Birchmore, 23, a former participant in a Stoughton Police youth program, was pregnant when she died. According to the, it's not according to the death certificate. Sorry, dog's barking. I think there was someone outside again. All right, so this says according to the to her death certificate that it was a hanging, but we didn't see that. Where was it? I don't see that. Do you? It just says pending. I, right? I mean, it just says pending. It doesn't say hanging. It doesn't say anything other than pending. All right, so 2021 report state police trooper Dunn described finding Birchmore's body in her room on February 4th. He said that he found no indications of physical A or bruising, swelling, external trauma, or marking suggesting a struggle. So, no struggle, no defensive wounds, nothing. Chris Adams and Caitlin Bulger of the medical examiner's office took custody of the body. Swabs from Birchmore's body, hair and fingernail clippings, and clothing she was wearing were taken for an SA kit, but Dr. Bodden, wrote that it appears the evidence was not tested. So let me break for a second to just to explain. Dr. Michael Bodden is world-renowned forensic pathologist. He used to have a show, I think it's called Autopsy, that was on like HBO a long, long time ago. I remember watching that when I was like a kid. I loved that show. Anyways, so the family of Sandra Birchmore recently hired him to re-examine the case, take a look at all the evidence, re-examine the cause and manner of Sandra's loss of life. And according to Michael Baden, he claims, alleges that, according to his findings, he believes that Sandra did not take her own life, but that it was a homicide. And so he, while looking at the case, he found that the SA kit, the R kit that, they take when those things happen, those kinds of assaults happen, it was never even tested. So if something happened that day in that apartment physically with Sandra and Matthew Farwell, we won't know because it wasn't tested. The toxicology report found that Sandra Birchmore was taking sertraline, a prescription psychotropic medication usually taken for depression. In 2022, Birchmore's aunt sued the officers for wrongful death and Stoughton for negligence and civil rights violations. In the lawsuit, her attorneys described Birchmore's loss of life as the culmination of a near decade-long scheme of grooming and repeated assaults from a young age by the officers. So we've already read through this part that was on the other page we were reading. But here, okay, so there was a second autopsy. Former New York City medical examiner Dr. Michael Baden, in June 18th letter to a lawyer for Birchmore's estate, wrote this. Ms. Birchmore did not die of self-deletion hanging. The cause of Ms. Birchmore's loss of life is strangulation, and the manner of her loss of life is homicide. So strangulation and homicide are his findings versus hanging and self-deletion, which on the certificate that we were looking at, it says pending. So I don't even know where they're getting that, but that's that. All right, so Baden said the extent of Birchmore's injuries, as well as the placement of a ligature found on her body, were among the reasons for this determination. So the extent of her injuries, as well as the placement of the ligature found on her body. He noted that Birchmore had suffered a fracture to the U-shaped hyoid bone in the neck, which is known as the hyoid bone, which fractures rarely, if at all, in self-deletion hangings, but does in very half of homicidal strangulation of women. So it happens frequently when women are strangled. The three Stoughton police officers, Matthew Farwell, his brother William, and Robert Devine, are accused of maltreatment and exploiting Birchmore for a decade after meeting her when she enrolled in the department's Explorer Youth program when she was 13. So she was in the program at 13. They didn't start having relations with her until 15, but they could have been grooming her since 13. So sick. In the wake of Birchmore's loss of life, an internal Stoughton Police Department probe found that Matthew Farwell had allegedly started SAing her when she was 15. So that is fact. The internal investigation found that. So that is a fact. That is why his law enforcement certification was revoked. So that is where I'm going to leave us. Oh, let's take a look at some pictures real quick. So on this website that I'm using, it's crimetimelines.com, and then it's got Sandra Birchmore. It's got a bunch of other cases on here, which is, sorry, dogs are making lots of noise. So here is, so I'm using the website crimetimelines.com. There's a bunch of different case files on here you can go and look. But this one in particular has Sandra's information nicely laid out. They have a lot of errors, grammatical and typing errors, but whatever. So these are pictures of her when she was younger, going through her program, the post program. There's the one where she was little. And that's the life and tragic loss of Sandra Birchmore's life. And in, like I said, the next episode where we will pick back up where we talk about the Stoughton police officers and their involvement and who they are. We're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive on the officers themselves. So don't forget to hit the like button. Please make sure you are subscribed so when I have additional videos on Sandra Birchmore, you get notified right away and you don't miss them. So again, hit that like button on your way out. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.
If you've been impacted by a true crime and would like your story told in your own words, or if you or someone you know has been wrongfully convicted or accused of a crime, please write to crimeincourtchannel@gmail.com and tell us your real true crime encounters. Thanks for watching.